Hi, welcome to another edition of Mount Talks. Today we are going to be cooking again. So something I'm going to be doing fairly often on the channel. I've got together a selection of dishes mentioned in the Wheel of Time, and I'm going to give a stab at creating them. I'm going to put a little twist on them usually, because that's how I like to do things. But I'm definitely going to try and stick to, the core description that's in the books. Sometimes they're very, very vague, and I have to just make my best guess. Today we're cooking pork. So this is the dish mentioned in chapter 21 of The Great Hunt. Rand is traveling with Loial and Hurrin and Selene, as we know at that point, and they stop at an inn, and the dish they get there is a pork dish. Rand describes it as sweet and sharp at the same time, both in smell and taste. So judging by, a lot of people seem to have thought the same thing. Judging by that description, sweet and sour pork seems to be the obvious choice there. It's mentioned that it's just served with peppers and other veg. So there's no noodles or anything of that sort of nature. So I've not done noodles today. You could obviously do this with noodles if you wanted to. Another item you could put in there that I think might work quite well is a bit of couscous. You don't want to go too crazy on the flavors. So obviously, we've got sweet and sour pork going on, and you'll see what I'm doing with the veg. So you don't want to go, too wild on the couscous, but that'd be a great option there. But noodles are your obvious choice there if you're trying to make this into a meal. So I'll just run you through what we've got. So to make a marinade, we're going to start off. So we've got some olive oil that's marinated with chili. Okay. We've got some soy sauce. You'll need honey, cayenne chili pepper, and then this bit is optional for you. So you can have either tomato sauce, which I know a lot of people have in the house, or you can use tomato paste, depending on how sweet you want it to be and what you tend to have around the house as well. I don't tend to use tomato ketchup, so usually if a dish calls for it, I just don't put it in there, or I use tomato paste if I feel that's going to be a suitable substitute. In this case, I'm using tomato paste, so I don't want to leave out too much tomato taste from the marinade itself. Other two things you need is some garlic. So I've got some garlic here. I've pre-peeled. You want sort of 3 or 4 cloves, depending on how big the garlic is and how much you like garlic. And then you're going to want somewhere between half and a whole red chili diced up. Take the seeds out. You don't want those in there because we want a bit of spice, but we don't want it to just be chili pepper just straight through the senses. And you're going to want to cut that up nice and fine. I've already done that in advance here. Okay, and that's going to be the marinade. Obviously, you'll need some pork. So you can take a pork chop, cut it up. You can take pork belly. You can take any type of pork you want. Just cube it up into reasonably small pieces. Don't go too small. Don't go too big. I don't know if you can see here. I've pre-chopped mine. There, you can see the pieces. Okay, and the veg I'm going for, so obviously peppers are mentioned. And they're mentioned in long slivers. So that's what I've gone for today. So I went to the shops and I was in luck. I managed to get some long, sweet, pointed peppers. And I've just cut those into long strips. I've got some orange ones and some yellow ones there. If you can't find them in the supermarket or your local markets, you can just use regular bell peppers. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Just cut them into long strips, slightly thicker. It's going to work just the same. For veg, I've gone for a couple options here. Now, peas are mentioned. So I've gone and got real peas. I'm lucky my local supermarket has them. So I've got real peas here in the pods still. So I've just given them a wash. Now, when it comes to the peas, you want to be shucking them out, ideally speaking. Depending on how, I suppose, you were raised, I eat them whole. Now, they can be stringy, which is why you pop them out. This is an outer case. This is how it grows on the vine. And it is tough. It's there to protect the peas. The peas are the sweet thing that you want to be eating. So I've just washed them. I've left them soaking in some water. I'm going to cook them in butter. It's just a little added complex to the dish there that I like to have. I'm all about eating as much of it as you can. I say it does get stringy. It can be chewy. That's why I'm soaking them. And that's why I'm going to be sauteing them in a lot of butter later, just to try and soften them up. If that's not your thing, but you don't want to give that a try, just break open the pod and get the peas out. Alternatively, you could just use peas. I'm sure we've all got those floating around in the freezer. They will work fine as well. There's nothing wrong with that. Just cook them a bit less. That's all you've got to do there. Lastly, I've got some mangetout going on as well. So if you don't want to have, peas in the pod, you want to shuck them out, you can have mangetout. They look exactly the same, except they're flat, they're not quite so sweet, and these you do leave like this. You just cook them straight off and just eat them in that way. And lastly, I've got some chestnut mushrooms. I've just cut those into quarters after I've given them a wash. That's going to be my own little twist on the dish there. Sorry. And you're going to have soy butter mushrooms. This is a specialty I do when I'm cooking breakfast dishes, particularly because I like a twist on my mushrooms. And if I'm cutting them up, then I'm going to saute them up in some garlic and soy sauce and butter, sorry. And yeah, it's delicious. But you'll see when we get to that later. First off, we're going to make the marinade. So we're going to start off with our ingredients for that. So, got myself a little mixing pot. Got my trusty measuring cups. Now, if you don't have measuring cups, you can obviously just use the appropriate measurement in grams. This recipe that I've decided to use, I quite like the sound of, is all measured in cups. So I will put the gram equivalent in the recipe that will obviously be in the description. But first off, we're going to go for 1/3 of a cup. Okay. Now again, I've just got a fairly runny honey, so it's quite easy. If you find your honey's very thick, just put it in, like boil the kettle, put that in a little bowl, sit the honey in. That's going to warm the honey up, make it more viscous. It's going to make it run faster, and you'll be able to pour it out a lot easier. Okay, but mine's fairly runny even at the nice chilly room temperature I've got going on right now. Twist it when you finish, and then you're not going to get so much spill going on. And we'll just pop that in there like that. I'm going to turn that upside down for a second. Okay. Now here's the fun thing I didn't factor in. That honey's going to stick to everything, so I really need to be popping this off and taking that out. Nice awkward moment on the camera there, but there we go. So, that's the honey done there. Okay. Let's take this off in there. So, next up, this is where you'll be adding in your ketchup. So you want 1/4 of a cup. So we've just done a 1/3 cup of honey, 1/4 a cup of ketchup. Obviously on this occasion, I'm going to use tomato paste. Break that open. Now this is going to be a lot thicker than tomato sauce, and it's going to be richer in tomato flavour, but it's not going to be as sweet. So bear that in mind when you pick and choose which item you're going to use. Just put it back there for a second. Now I'm going to use the 1/4 cup again, because we're onto the soy sauce, and we want a 1/4 cup of that as well. Most soy sauce comes in a little shake dispenser, so this is going to be interesting. A little fun noise going on. So try and glug in 1/4 of a cup. Now, these don't have to be wildly precise. As I've said before, this is not baking. Baking is a science. Cooking is an art. Now, I know that sounds a bit weird and a bit strange, and I'm sure there's chefs out there that will disagree with me. But for me, it's an art form. You don't have to be exact unless you're baking, because baking cakes is a science. And if you start putting things out of whack, you get dishes that aren't right. Or quite frankly, you just get things that don't taste good or taste chemically, all sorts of sideways things. Digressing. Now we're after 1/2 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. You know what? Let's use the actual teaspoon. So I've got a 1/2 teaspoon measurement here. Let's take them all off. Let's go fully legit. Just peel the lid off my dispenser here. So, 1/2 teaspoon. Now, the option there, if you think, oh, I don't want to put chili pepper, cayenne chili pepper in it, is you can use paprika. I recommend smoked. It's got a nicer flavour. Regular paprika is absolutely fine as well. There's nothing wrong with that. So I'll put this in the recipe. But if you would prefer a little less spice, just use paprika, either type, instead of the cayenne pepper, and you're going to be fine. Lastly, we want 1 whole teaspoon of chili oil in there. You can tell I bought this specially for today because it's still sealed. Lovely. Right. Now, at this stage, you want to be putting in the garlic, but you want to be grating it in. Now, if you don't have a little grater, you can use a big grater. If you don't have a grater at all, you're just going to have to finely dice it. You can crush it first. Because it's all going to be mixed in, that's fine. And then just go at it for the shopping. Alternatively, you can buy some things in the supermarket. I think there's a brand called Lazy. It'll be like lazy garlic, lazy ginger, things of that nature, where it's already done for you. There's nothing wrong with using that at all. Just remember that is processed. That does have things added in there. And that's going to change the profile of the flavor ever so slightly. But that's totally a personal choice there. I love using actual garlic. I usually just chop it up and have it in things, but obviously it's calls for grating. It's in a marinade, so I'm going to grate it today. Now this will take me a few minutes, so I'm going to edit this out, but you can see the idea at the start, because I don't think we want to sit here and watch me grate garlic for ages. Before I do sign off though, mind your fingers on any grater, because once you get down to it, you're going to be moving your fingers very close to those very, very sharp little holes. And we don't want pieces of skin or blood or fingers in our marinade, because you have to start from scratch, as well as it's going to be very painful and can leave you scarred. So I'll do the other cloves and we'll get back to it. Okay, so we've got that all grated in there. The last thing you want to be adding is your chopped up chili. I'm going for a whole chili here. I like a bit of spice, so I'm just going to whack that in there now. Bear in mind when you're chopping this up, that chili oil does get everywhere on your fingers. Do not be touching your face. Do not be, rubbing your eyes. Heaven forbid, licking your fingers, anything of that nature. Make sure to wash your hands properly after handling the chili itself, especially during the cutting stage, because it's just going to sting, and you don't want chili in the eyes. Like I've done it once. It is so painful and just lasts for ages, so you really don't want that. But back to the marinade. I've got all the ingredients in now. So you can see in there, looking like quite an interesting mess. So I'm just going to give that a stir up. You want to get all the ingredients combined. It's going to be a little thick at first. You're going to get the soy sauce leaping around a bit while the honey sort of mixes in. But as you get it to mix, it will get thicker as the soy sauce and the honey mix together. And then the other ingredients start to blend in there. It will be fairly dark unless you've used a lot of tomato sauce. That will give it a light texture, but obviously me using tomato paste, mine's going to be even darker than usual. But don't worry if you get a dark sauce, that's absolutely fine. Give that a smell. You should get a lot of sweetness and then just a little hint of pepper at the end. A little bit of the heat coming through. Okay. That's what you want at this stage. If you give it a sniff and think, I'm getting no spice, that's okay. This is at the beginning stage. Spice, as you cook, and marinade, as we're going to be doing, just intensifies as it goes along. So if you just go, whew, my eyes are watering already, imagine what it's going to be like after you've marinated and then cooked. It's just going to be crazy. So that looks great. It's going to be fairly thick, particularly if you go on for the tomato paste option. But even the ketchup option, still going to be reasonably thick. At this stage, we want to marinate the pork. Okay, we want that flavour to get into the pork because you don't want just one on the outside. You take a bite and suddenly it's just plain pork in the middle. No, we want to marinate this. Now, if you're in a rush and you don't have time to prepare it, obviously I've had time to do this. Okay, so I've just done it all in advance, done my prep, all that sort of stuff. If you're doing this on the fly when you get home from work one day, you can just leave it there for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. That's fine. The ideal amount of time you want to be leaving there, 2 hours. So this is definitely a dish that requires some prep. This is something you could do in advance. You think, do you know what? I'm going to chop this all up in advance. I'm going to stick the pork in the marinade, whack that in the fridge. And then when I get home, I've just got to do some veg, get the pork out and do the rest of the dish. That's fine as well. So let me just grab a bowl. And we're going to take the pork. Probably should use a bigger bowl. 1 second. Let's be sensible about it. Put that in the wash. There. And all your pork. And just want to pour that on top. If you make the marinade in the big bowl to start with, then you can just add the pork straight to it. Saves making 2 dishes wrong, but I went with a little one so I could hold it up to you guys on the camera. So obviously the way I have to film in the kitchen's a little weird to get the angles I'm after. Don't have the most ideal kitchen for filming, but that's fine. So we got that in there. We're going to give this a mix. Look at that. That is absolutely brilliant. So see, all of that is in there. You can make sure all the pork is coated. Don't have any of the pork lumps stuck together. Wonderful. Now, I'm going to take this, I'm going to wrap it up, I'm going to put it in the fridge for 2 hours, and then we're going to start cooking again after that. Obviously, I've got the veg out here to show you. I'm going to put that away as well. If you haven't done your veg at this stage, now is the perfect time to do it. You've done this, whack that in the fridge. Like, oh, I've got 2 hours to burn. Or you've even got half hour if you're in the rush. Half hour to burn. I'm going to start chopping my veg. I'm going to shuck my peas. I'm going to cut my mushrooms. Whatever veg you choose to put with it, now's the perfect time to get it done because you've got nothing else to do. This has to sit. Doesn't work otherwise. So I'm going to let this sit for 2 hours because I've got the time. But if you're in a rush, 20, 30 minutes, perfectly fine. We're going to get back and then we're going to start doing some cooking. So, see you in a couple of hours. Maybe more like 5 seconds. Bye. Hi, welcome back for part 2 of making the sweet and sharp pork from The Great Hunt, chapter 21. I've had our pork marinating for a couple of hours now, and it's you can just smell the spices coming through there, and the sweetness, to be quite honest. Obviously, being chilled, the sauce has thickened up quite a lot, but yeah, we're going to get that going in a nice hot pan, crisp that off. We're also going to be cooking our veg. So, as I said before, got some mangetout, a couple 100 grams of that, a couple 100 grams of peas, some of the pods, shuck them out if you want, as discussed earlier, peppers, mushrooms, some butter, and we will need, for the mushrooms, a bit of soy sauce. So, let's get this going. So, to do my pork, I've got a nice big pan out. You might have seen this from previous episodes. I'm going to do my veg in a big frying pan, and then my mushrooms are going to be done right near the end. They don't take a lot. So Sorry, didn't have my frying pan out for that. What was that frying pan for? Alright, there's some heat going in here. I'm going to add just the tiniest splash of oil at the bottom, just so that initial bit doesn't stick. There is oil in the marinade, obviously, but not a huge amount, so just a little extra just to ensure that we don't have a big sticky mess. Obviously, this is the dangerous part when you're cooking. Hot utensils, hot pans, hot food, hot sauces. So do be careful. Don't be burning those fingers away. And yeah, let's see what happens. I'm excited. Good bit of heat going on there. Now, to start with, I'm just going to spoon the pork out as opposed to tip all the sauce in. I've got a slotted spoon here. Listen to that sound. I'm doing this on a high heat. There we go. Put that right to one side. Ah, the aroma's already amazing. Okay, so just spread that around a little bit. It will, because it's been chilled, cool the pan back down. I'm going to start with the pan really hot to get that going. There we go, heating back up. And see all the bubbling going on there. I know you can't smell through the screen, but it smells amazing. Like, this is far better than anything you buy in the shops, I've got to say. You know, you just can't really argue about it. Lovely, that's cooking off great there. What I'm going to do, I'm going to get one of my other lines going. Now that's cooking up, I'm going to put that on the back. Like that, keep going. And we're going to get the veg going now. So, I know it doesn't mention how the veg is cooked in the books, so I'm just going to fry it off in a pan a bit, but I'm going to do my own little take on it. So, what I've got going on is my own salt creation. Okay, so this is Maldon sea salt, the best sea salt in the world, but any type of sea salt will be fine. Alternatively, any kind of rock salt is also good, it's just going to be slightly stronger in flavour. In there I have paprika, I have cayenne chili pepper powder, and I have chili flakes. Put this all into a grinder, just one I've reused from a previous chili mix that I purchased. Okay, and just grind it out on top. And a bit of butter going on, so knob the butter, melt those down. How's the pork doing? That is looking wonderful. Right, now the pork's looking fairly cooked. Okay, look at that. So I can see the pork getting a bit, lighter in colour. And it's starting to curl up a little bit, so I'm going to turn the heat down on that. I'm going to cook that slowly. Because I want all the sauce to thicken up and just absorb into the pork. But also get a little sort of thicker and clumpier around the pork on the outside. So we're just going to reduce the sauce down so it gets thicker in that respect there. Right, so we've got our butter melted. I'm going to start off with the peppers. Now, I'm doing a lot here because there are no carbs to the dish. So I've got a lot of peppers. I'm going to turn the tap up now. Obviously, you could add noodles to this. You'd need less peppers if that was the case. Let me bring this down so the pan's a bit more there. Lovely. Tough to get the angles right in the kitchen, so I do apologise. yeah, you just, with the dish they had, it felt quite tapas style to me. So a little bit of veg, you know, the pork put on top, perhaps, or on the side, and just sort of pick at it as you go. Just sort of toss those around a bit. You want to be letting this get a bit of colour. Now, a trick if you're not cooking this all in one pot or all in one go is put your oven on a very low setting, and then as each of your items is cooked, you can keep it warm in the oven as you cook other items, because I mean, I don't know about you, but I've cooked in the past and been like, oh, this has got 5 components going on, and you get to the end and the first thing you cooked has gone cold. So you can put your oven on, nice low temperature, and it'll just keep the warmth in the dish without cooking it any further. You're not really whacking it up to anything crazy. Look at that, getting beautiful colour on it. Absolutely perfect. Look at our pork sauce thickening up there. Oh, that was like the best steam I've ever had in my life. Oh, that is just amazing. Look at that pork. Doesn't that look beautiful? So I'm going to keep that going there. It's reducing nicely. This is where I'm going to add my little mix. So I want to keep everything warming in the oven while I'm cooking. I'm going to pop that in there. Lovely. Wonderful. So you just want to get a nice bit of caramelisation going on. You can see the colour there. I think you still want to have some bite to these, and if you overcook them, they're going to get very, very soft. This is still very firm. It's going to have crunch. Wonderful. I think we're good there. So I'm going to pop those in the oven, and then we're going to get our greens going and set up for our mushrooms. So we'll be back in a second. Okay, so got some fresh butter going. I'm using the same pan. I want to keep that flavour going on. It's absolutely fine if you want to use different pans. Turn the heat back up. There's nothing wrong with using different pans if you want to cook them all simultaneously. If you're feeling up to that, it's absolutely fine. Okay, let's get that turning. Lovely. But I'm using a single pan for everything and just keeping it warm in the oven because I want to keep that flavour rolling around. Now, I'm not going to add any salt, any of my chili salt, to the greens. I'm just going to have the greens be buttered greens. They'll get a little bit from when I was seasoning the peppers, and obviously there's a lot of flavour going on anyway. I just wanted the greens to be kind of like a little bit of a palate cleanser on the plate. Okay, and then obviously because we've got the soy mushrooms we're going to do in a second, we've got all the flavour from the pork, which is just absolutely phenomenal. I mean, that is, yeah, that is just looking so great right now. Cooking away. But we'll get this going. Oh, I seem to have lost one there. Does happen occasionally. There. If you were going to do this all as sweet and sour pork noodles, you know, one pot, what I would say is cook off your pork separately, finish that, put that to one side, then do all your veg. You can use the same pot, that's absolutely fine. Get your veg all cooked down. When it's almost where you want it to be, throw your pork back in, make sure that's back up the temperature, it will have cooled a little bit. And at the very, very end, you can be adding your noodles, because you can get away with the noodles. You can microwave them if you wanted to. Using rice noodles, you don't even have to do anything advanced. You can just open up the packet, throw it in, mix it through, leave the lid on, lowest heat, 3-4 minutes, give it a stir halfway through. The noodles are going to be enriched with some of that flavour and cooked. Thicker noodles like egg noodles, I say you can microwave them for a minute if you wanted to. Just give them an extra minute or two cooking, as opposed to the rice noodles I just mentioned, because they're thicker. Oh, look at that, that looks beautiful. Oh, the butter going around in there. Get that really sizzling. I want to try and get some colour on them. So, that's where we are currently. We're going to take a pause there while I finish these off, and then we're going to do the mushrooms. Then we're going to bring it all together. So, back in a flash. Okay, so greens are done. I've got those keeping warm in the oven. I did add a little bit of salt. I just wanted to give it a little bit of flavour. If you want to put some pepper in there as well, that's totally fine. You season it to your liking. You're the one who has to eat the dish. We've got the mushrooms going in. As I said earlier, they're quartered. I've melted a little bit of butter in the bottom of the pan first. Got them on a sort of a fairly high heat, not right to the top. And I just want them to start wilting down. Let all the juices flow out. They're absorbing the butter currently. And then that will all come back around. And the secret here with mushrooms is they get what I like to call, they get quite thirsty. So as you cook the mushrooms, all the liquid comes out. Obviously, you know, mushrooms, they're very porous. They absorb all the water around them. As you cook them, that cooks out, which is part of the reason they shrink when you cook mushrooms. But they will get to the stage where they're ready to absorb it. They get rid of their excess water. Okay, they get down to the stage where they've shrunk a bit, they've reduced a bit, and they get very thirsty. They're ready to absorb stuff. They're like a sponge that you've squeezed mostly. You know, you can then dunk it back in the water, and it will soak it all back up. So that's the stage you're at there. That's what I'm looking for. So I get them going. I say not a huge heat. Normally people add a lot going on to the mushrooms, cook them in a lot of things. I think the mushrooms are very simple, just two ingredients here, a bit of butter, okay, to get the initial flavour going, and then as their own juices come out, they'll cook faster and faster, and then I throw in the soy sauce when they're at what I call the thirsty stage. They absorb that all in, and all you're getting is a buttery soy flavour. It's very special. But yeah, we will get onto that. Starting to get there. I have to say, this is very different to when I did the honey cake video. What was that, a couple of weeks ago now? Did honey cakes, and obviously that's baking. So it's a lot of mix this together, then do this, then do that, then put it in the oven and walk away, and then come back. Whereas this, there's a lot of actual cooking, and I could edit all out. I could have, you know, so there's this bit, there's that bit, there's this bit. No fun. So you just get me sort of rambling a little bit, as I tend to do. So, you know, this is a good point. I would sit there and think about the inn where they're eating this. So has this pork been slow cooking all day in this marinade? Where did they make the marinade? Because you know they're not going to buy it in the factory. The wheel of time is not based. Although they have some modern devices like clocks and that, they don't have, you know, packaged sauces in supermarkets. This is what they could get through traders and, you know, things of that nature. So I definitely think that, you know, the pork is slow cooked. The sauce is made from scratch. They're not going to have soy sauce, but that is my twist on this. But they are going to have butter. So a lot of, you know, herbs, spices, butters, all making the dishes individually is going to be a big stage of any cooking process in the wheel of time, particularly at an inn, obviously, where they've got to serve a lot of people coming back and forth. So to actually enjoy the cooking process, I think that's important. It's a lot of things we don't do ourselves these days, a lot of ready meals. Hopefully, during this time period we're going through, you've taken time to cook with friends, family, loved ones, flatmates, you know, people you're quarantined with at the moment. So, but yeah. So that's why I've decided to show you all the cooking process, or as much as I can, whilst still having a little bit of me in the picture. I mean, I could talk as a headless body, but that might be weird. So yeah, anyway, we're almost at the stage now where the mushrooms are ready to absorb some soy sauce. Let me just hold it up there. You can see they shrunk down a bit. Okay, we're getting a lot of liquid come out. All right, so I'm going to cook those. And the key here is you want that liquid to be pretty much gone before you start throwing in the soy sauce. Okay, because at this stage, they're letting the liquid out. They're not really at the thirsty stage. You're at the thirsty stage when there's no liquid running around the pan, or very little, because it's all boiled away. Okay, so this is intensifying the flavors. This is the butters that it might have absorbed initially coming back out. Okay, with all that chestnut flavor. I mean, if you want to use white mushrooms, that's fine as well. Let's just keep the pork stirring. Look at that. Oh, God. That is getting lovely and thick. So, let's make sure that's out at full heat. We're almost ready to add soy sauce. Now, when it comes to adding the soy sauce, you be as generous or as stingy as you want. This is your dish. You are garnishing this for your own taste preferences. So if you want to go heavy-handed with the soy sauce because you love soy sauce, that's you do you. That's great. That's wonderful. I use a fair amount myself. If you just want to put, you know what, I just want a little bit of taste. I want mostly buttery mushrooms going on to go with the veg. That's great as well. This is your dish. Okay, all I've done is I've taken literally like 2 lines from 4.4 million words to create a whole dish. And yeah, there's a lot of interpretation to be had. I'm curious, whilst I'm waiting for the mushrooms just to finish it, give those another 30 seconds before I throw in the soy sauce. Please comment below what you think I should cook next. I did put out a thing on Twitter a couple of days ago to see what people were most interested in, what they most remember. I am going to redo the honey cakes at some stage before the TV show comes around. I know where I made a few mistakes there, but you know, I want to make new dishes and you know, get things that people can try at home. You know, do our little twists on them. So, okay. Oh dear, I'm terrible for that. Losing a mushroom. Come here. There we go. Right. So, no liquid floating around. They've melted, you know, sort of shriveled down a bit. Definitely in that stage. This is their thirsty stage. So, got the soy sauce, and I say I go a fair bit. But you go as little or as much as you want. That is going to bubble back up, and you want to sort of cook them almost back to the thirsty stage, as I call it. Okay, because then you know it's kind of absorbed in. But you don't want to cook them until it sort of boils back out. But I'll let that simmer, and then we are there. So I'm going to pour this all together on some serving dishes, so you can see all the dishes, and then what it might look like on a single plate. And then it's time to taste. My favourite part of the show. I mean, can't wait. So, see you back in a couple of seconds. Okay, so here we are. We've got all the components of the dish ready. So we've got our peppers going on here, we've got our greens, we've got our soy butter mushrooms, and we've got the pork. So I'm going to put this all onto a plate, and we're going to see, obviously, how it looks, and then I'm going to give it a taste. So, we'll start off with some peppers. It's obviously got to go on the bottom with these long, beautiful slices. Okay. Get a good selection of the greens. We're going to go with pork, which is looking absolutely stunning. That sauce is so thick and intense. And the smell, so fragrant. Just makes my stomach rumble. Well, the pork is definitely the star of this dish, that's what we're going for here. And then the mushrooms, I'm going to just sort of sprinkle on the top. A little bit of colour here and there. Wonderful. And then to finish off, I've just got a little bit of garnish, which is some spring onions. I don't know what you call them in America, but just there, a little bit of greenery on the top. And voila. I mean, look at that. That just looks sensational. So, the important taste test. Let's have it. So, time to taste. We've got the dish here. And, yeah, I mean, I'm going to try and get a little bit of everything in one go. I mean, this just smells incredible. You could do larger portions of this, serve it in the serving bowls as I have done. People can just pick what they want. I mean, this is great if you're vegetarian. You don't have to do the pork. You could do other pieces of larger vegetables that hold their crunch. So baby corn, for example, would be great. You know, you could do big slices of peppers, you know, big chunky squares of peppers from bell peppers instead of the slices. Go crazy. You know, there's multiple things that you could, I mean, hell, you could go for broccoli. Broccoli and cauliflower stems, cook them off in this. You know, if you do them al dente style, really thicken the sauce up first, and then coat the broccoli and cauliflower in it. I mean, the crunch, the bite, it's going to be amazing. But enough of that. Let's taste it, because that's what we're all here for. That's what you all care about. So, bit of pork, bit of mushroom. I'm losing everything. We've got that. And let's go for a pea pod. Wow. Excuse me, I'm going to go for it, because, I mean, I recommend cutting the peppers in normal course, but, you know, I just want to get everything in one go. So, yeah, here we go. Mmm. Mmm. Wow. Excuse me a second, I need some more of that. Mmm. So, the pork is beautiful. Hasn't dried out because the sauce was so thick there. I'm getting very subtle sweetness. It's not like a big sugar rush. Now bear in mind, I did use tomato paste instead of tomato ketchup, so that will reduce the sweetness level. But at the end there, I'm just getting like a nice warmth going on. So I don't think I've quite got the sharpness that Rand was talking about. Maybe I need a bit more pep. I mean, I've just used standard chili oil. Perhaps I should use a stronger variant, more chili. I mean, I could always leave the seeds in. That might be a bit of heat. But as for the peppers, they're brilliant. So you see, they're not all pointy and crunchy still. They have cooked, wilted a little, but when I'm eating, there's still a crunch involved. It's not a case of just like overcooked and floppy, which nobody likes. The baby peas that I've not shocked, which I now can't pick up. There we go. Let's try it. There we go. So, now they are quite crunchy. Some of the smaller ones that I was just trying to pick up then, they've gone quite soft on the pods, and all the peas are just popping out, which is lovely. You know, if you can see some of the smaller ones there, make sure we catch the light. So, but the bigger ones are still quite whole, still feeling quite crunchy when I put the fork in. But they have softened. Still getting that hard bit from the case. But on a personal preference, I don't mind that. That's me. If you're like, oh, I'm not a fan of that sort of thing, just pop them out and do peas. The mangetout give you the shape. The regular peas will give you the pea taste as well. So not a problem there. Obviously the mangetout, the mangetout, like they always are when they're cooked, still crunchy. They retain their crunch really well, providing you don't sit there and cook them for, sort of 45 minutes, an hour, and just let them die and die and die. But really nice, just simple flavour. The butter, they've picked up some of the sauce from the pork, so I get little twangs of that now and again. And obviously the mushrooms, I mean, the mushrooms are to die for. They're just great. Butter, making it really smooth. Even for mushrooms, when they cook, they get quite soft. Maybe even a little gelatinous if you overcook them, but then you just get the soy come through, the saltiness there, and it's a great little sort of crossover with the pork, which is gone almost crispy, but you know, I like the fact it's still a bit juicy. Brilliant. There we have it. Sweet and sharp pork from the Great Hunt. Thank you, Rand, Hurrin, and Loial. And Selene as well, I suppose. But she didn't eat hers. Loial had seconds. So, yeah. That's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed watching me take a stab at this cooking. I mean, I do cook for a living. That's why I have this chef gear. But I don't often cook for TV. In fact, I think I've only ever cooked TV once. And that wasn't even, like, you know, me talking. That was just cooking for an advert for a company that I worked for. So this is quite a new experience for me. I very much enjoyed it. I will keep doing it. Please like, comment on what you think I should cook next. Subscribe to the channel, and then you'll see my videos come up. I would love to take suggestions. I would love one day to perhaps even do it live, do like a ready, steady cook meals in 20 minutes type thing. I think I'd need to finesse some of the dishes a lot, but we could do it live and people can cook with me. You know, I mean, perhaps that's something, you know, we could do in the future, but we'll see how things go. We're all going to be back to work soon if we're not already, and obviously people have a little less time. But for the moment, I'm going to enjoy this. I'm going to box up the rest, so I've got leftovers, and you know, that's the joy of batch cooking. And I will see you next time. So, from me to you, enjoy your dinners, whatever you choose to have, and I will see you next time. Bye.